my name is Jasmine. In today's video, I'm going to be drawing what I thought the cast of the Amazing Digital Circus was going to look like as humans. Now that the 9th episode is out, this can be a spoiler-free video, okay? You should have already seen it by now. It's been out in theaters and it's on Glitch's YouTube channel. So I remember watching it and looking at their human designs that were revealed and thinking, they didn't look really a lot like how I thought they would look, so I thought it would be fun for me to draw what I always imagined the characters looking like throughout the series when we were looking at their cartoon selves, and then compare them to what is actually canon. So this isn't going to be a redesign per se because I'm not really going based off of any canon designs. This is just from my head what I thought they were going to look like, if that makes sense. So yeah, if that sounds interesting, then keep watching. Okay, starting in the order that I drew them, we're going to begin with Ragatha. So I wanted to give Ragatha a kind of like shy-ish stance, and as you can see from the reference picture, that's what I chose, someone with their arms in front of them. But as I was drawing this, I don't know why, but it just looked to me more like she was standing with her hands behind her back. So I decided to change her position to be like that instead, and I thought that it still fit the kind of like reserved, shy kind of aspect. And also this way I only had to draw one of her eyes. So watching the show, I never really imagined what would happen to the eye that is like implied that her mom harmed, and so this gave me kind of an out to not have to draw it. I kind of flirted with the idea of making it like a birthmark around her eye because I didn't want to put a scar there, but this kind of just, you know, solved that problem. So I figured that she probably had big red curly hair, which I did kind of think that because she had red hair in her digital design, but also I think that red hair is like really beautiful. I think that it is not too common as well, so it's probably one of those things that her mom probably made fun of her for, it's what I'm imagining, but not because it was actually ugly, but because she secretly actually was really beautiful. So I wanted to make Ragatha really beautiful, but her stance and her vibe, I wanted it to come off as she wasn't really confident in herself. I remember her working on a farm or living on a farm, so I wanted to give her tan skin from toiling in the sun, even though I don't believe that she lived on the farm with her mother as an adult. I wanted to give her tan skin and cowboy boots because I feel like she'd have kind of like a country-esque design about her. So yeah. Okay, next we have Gangle. For Gangle, I also wanted to give her more of a shy type of pose that she's in because, of course, she kind of has, you know, low self-esteem and she's pretty shy in the show. So I feel like this position maybe portrayed that shyness a bit better than Ragatha's did. But I imagined her being on the heavier side. And I also imagined her being white. I feel like a lot of people imagine Gangle as being Asian, but I always imagined her as being like a white American girl who is just like really into anime and certain aspects of Japanese culture. I wanted her to have certain kind of aspects about her that conveyed that. So if you look closely, I tried to draw her wearing puppy dog liner, and she has that type of makeup style where she has a lot of blush and she rounds out her cupid's bow, but I didn't want her to be a fashionista. I actually changed her clothing design from when I was doing a traditional sketch to my digital sketch, and I just made her outfit a little bit more modest because I felt like she wouldn't be really flashy with her clothing, but I feel like her clothes would portray her interests. So like her shirt would have like some type of anime on it that she likes, for example, and of course she's wearing her cat ears because we know that she dabbles in some type of like furry-esque type of things. But yeah, I wanted her to look otherwise pretty plain because I feel like she wouldn't put so much effort into her appearance, but more of her energy would go into things like drawing and writing fan fiction and things of the like. I also didn't make her wearing any heels or platforms like the other characters because I just didn't think that, you know, she's that type of girl. And of course she has glasses because I had canoned her as having glasses. That brings us to Zubul. So for Zubal's design, I think that the way that they looked in the show kind of heavily influenced the way that I imagined them looking as a human being. I imagined them having kind of like a really soft body and just having a lot of like round features, which you could kind of see in their character design on the show. I imagine them having a pretty laid back style. I feel like they wouldn't necessarily get super dressed up, but I feel like the way that their like unique fashion taste would come through is in the way that they would wear a lot of like graphic tees or like little shirts that have like ironic silly writing on them. But I feel like Zubul would kind of be a bit of like a trend follower in that way. So like the shirts that they would wear would have messages that are supposed to be biting but are just kind of just fall flat because of how like commercialized they are. I feel like they would love going to Hot Topic as opposed to like thrifting clothes. I don't know why. I just got that vibe from them. I feel like they would have short hair, short colored hair. I gave them blonde hair. I know a lot of people headcanon them as having pink hair, but I feel like they'd have like blonde hair. Like I could see them being in like a transitional phase between colors, and they would have patchwork sleeves. I could see them being a tattoo artist that doesn't have any tattoos themselves, but in the end, I felt like patchwork sleeves fit them better. I don't know why. I really don't know why. And then I thought about giving them like black outfit, like all black, but I feel like they would have color. Like they would wear color. They'd be a little bit expressive in that way. So this is my Zubul design. Next, we have our main girl. Or wait, does that title go to Jax now? This drawing is about Pomni. I did take a little bit of inspiration from her character design in the way that I just imagined her with like more of a boyish kind of like straight up and down figure. So I wanted to draw her with that. I felt like the type of clothes Pomni would wear is kind of similar to Gangle. Nothing really stands out about the way that she dresses. I feel like she would dress more for convenience and comfort rather than for fashion and aesthetics. And I kind of debated on what hairstyle I wanted to give her. I imagined that she would have short hair that she'd keep up into a ponytail, but I also felt like she has a little bit of like she would have a little bit of edge in the way that she dresses, which is why I did give her some piercings. I don't feel like she'd have tattoos. If she did, she'd have like maybe one or two very dainty ones in like places that she could hide for her job and stuff. But I ended up deciding on this kind of like short half up, half down style for her hair because I did want it to have kind of like a shaggy feel to it is what I decided. And yeah, her outfit is just, you know, it's very simple. I gave her a green top because I just thought it looked really good with her skin tone, and I think that she would in real life have really big expressive eyes just like she did when she was in the circus. And yeah, there's not really much to say about how I figured Pomni would look as a human. I think that, you know, she would just be really plain, simple looking girl, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you dress like this, there's no problem. I just thought, you know, she just looked normal, quote unquote. Next, we have our actual main girl, Jax. I'm going to be using he, him pronouns for Jax just because that's the pronouns that he used in the show. So for Jax, I feel like the way that he would dress is really kind of like, I really don't know how to say this other than he would be a fashion nigga. And I think that's because I'm not gonna knock anyone who dresses like this, but I feel like a lot of people that I see in real life and online that dress like this can sometimes be a bit fake, and I feel like that's Jax's personality. Like he's just really fake and focused on like fitting into a certain box with the way that he characterizes like different all the characters in the circus and also himself. So I feel like he would dress in a certain way because it's kind of like trendy. Like, he's the type of guy that go to a party and just stand on the wall and just smoke and take pictures. Like, that's the type of vibe that I was getting from him. And he would also be like Zubul, kind of wearing kind of trendy stuff, like the white boy of the year t-shirt that was popular, on like really stupidly baggy jeans. But I feel like he would also incorporate femininity into the way that he dresses, so wearing things like crop tops and off the shoulder shirts, and even like the headband that he's wearing. I always feel like he had a bit of femininity to the way that he presented himself, even before it was confirmed that he is trans. I just got that from him. Originally, I thought that he'd be doing it out of a sense of like irony, which is why he argues is the reason that he wears the, maid outfit. But now I guess I was just picking up on some of that transness. And at the end, I did decide to give him a tail because I remember him really fixating on his tail in the show. So yeah. Last but not least, we have the GOAT, Kinger. Honestly, there's not too much that I can say about his appearance, and his drawing looks probably the worst out of all of them that I drew, just because I felt kind of disconnected to it. Like, I really debated on just making him just drawing like his head up, because I really did not like, when I imagined him, it was more so just his face that I would always imagine. But I gave him a body because everyone else got full body drawings. But yeah, so I tried to incorporate kind of like quirkiness into his stance and the way that he, is posing, because he's kind of, dad, awkward-ish old man type of vibe. But yeah, I thought that he'd have big glasses and floppy hair and a little bit of facial hair, and that's kind of the extent of what I always imagined Kinger would look like. So I just tried to give him like a stereotypically like kind of nerdy outfit to go along with it. This might be a bit controversial, but I do imagine him having brown hair. I always thought he'd have brown hair, and I know everyone imagined him having blonde hair and blue eyes, which I guess, his character does have blue eyes, but I never saw that for him. I always thought that he'd have, brown hair. And it kind of looks like I just drew a young version of Mr. Rogers, so do with that what you will. Okay, so that was my version of all of the characters from the Amazing Digital Circus as humans. Now it's time to see how accurate my imaginings of them were. Alright, so comparing them to what is actually canon, I was pretty off on the way that I imagined all of them looking. I mean, I suppose I can kind of see them looking like this, but this is really fun. It's definitely cool how everybody has their own version of how the characters look. I know I would see videos of people of what they thought the characters would look like, and everyone's imaginations are really different, and that's cool. This is just a fun video. I'm not saying that my versions are better than what's actually canon or anything. This is just what I saw when I would imagine them as humans. So I do have another video up that is related to the Amazing Digital Circus, so if you're interested in that, you can go check it out. It's the video that I posted right before this one. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'd like to know what you guys think about my drawings, or what you thought the characters would look like in the comments. And yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good day.